Sorry, where do I go to access the recordings if I need them for later use?
You are in the Moodle platform, or I am in. No, you can see that. You can get into this, can you?
Yes.
Right. Well, what I found out is that I have to put these on.
Okay.
Now, there's a slight hitch there. I'm not quite sure how to do this. So
okay.
I spoke to Samit today. He's gonna set it up for me and make sure we want it here, so that you can back access them at any time.
Okay.
But that'll be good. Let's just have a look at. Oops, back up here. I'm just looking at something. I've got a badge for something. I'm not quite sure what it is. Induction, I think.
It's just for being fantastic, that's what.
Thank you. We're opening up, yeah. Yep, here we are. We're back onto there. So I'm going to use the same two documents that I've been using before. Like I said, you can have a look at the PowerPoints yourself. You know, you can just run through those and have a look at those if you need, if you want some further support on that. And I've got one there for LOs 1, 3, 4, and 5 on there.
Yes.
Unit 2, 3, LO2 already done. So what we'll look at is the amplification sheet again. And I will take these. I'll do 2 today, because they are fairly straightforward, these first 2. So let's open that up. And I will also open that up first. And then we'll put it to one side. Oops. Now we'll actually use, I'm thinking that I've already put your unit up there. That one. Now this is your assessment I've done up to now with your work already on it, work underneath it. Now, as you can see from the one I sent back, all these are achieved now. What I want you to do for me afterwards is there'll be a page number on the end of it. All these pages, I hope. No, there isn't.
No, I haven't done that yet. Sorry. I'll do that. Yes.
Job for you. Yeah. Put the page numbers in the footer. Yeah.
Okay.
And then for each section, just put on what page it's on. Yeah. Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So type it into there. Yes. Okay.
If sort of your first analysis goes on for 3 pages, it's page 1 to 3, or whatever you've named it as. It could be, because this is on this page 1, so it may start at page 4, for instance. Yeah.
Yes.
And then if it's 4 to 6, and then the next bit, it might be just 1 page on its own. Whatever it is, it's so that when it's finished, the internal verifier, which is normally me, but it will have to be somebody else because I've assessed this, can easily find what he wants to look at. He can say, right, okay, put for 1.4, and that's on page 10. Look to page 10, have a look, yeah, that's fine. And it's sort of smooths the operation. It's something I've put in place because this actually says assignment frontier. I've not altered this yet. Put your name in there, and I've not put your ID in yet, but I will do. But what I do with this, because it's such a good document, I use it for a number of things. So if I do that and go
assessment, yeah.
Oh, probably issue. It becomes an assessment front sheet. Yeah. It's the front sheet telling you what you've got to do. Yeah. And this already says evidence to show the achievement of the LO. Instead of putting your evidence here, your evidence is below. It's far too big to fit in there. Yeah. So my assessment will go in there. So I've read the stuff and said, yeah, good analysis, produced from research, blah, 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 blah. This is followed by a well-explained description of various applications achieved. So page number on there, job done. And that's how we'll move through on all the units as we go through them.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's have a look.
So when I send further work to you, am I just adding this assessment sheet and putting the new work?
I've got a copy of this here because I've sent it to you, yeah?
Yes.
So all you need to do when you carry on with this is go to the bottom of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's 2.2 finished. Unit 3, LO3.
Also, just carry on from there.
And just carry on from there. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yes.
And it saves. Ended up with 3 or 4 different copies.
That's
Because as you send me the new copy back, yeah, I will assess it, get rid of the other one I have a folder for each person, you see.
Yes.
I'll go into your folder, I'll get rid of the last one and put the new one.
This one. Okay.
We're always up to date then.
Oh, that's good.
Being organised, that's what it is.
Exactly.
Well, with an electronic portfolio like this, if you get set it up in order, it is actually easier to control and deal with than a paper-based one.
True. It's much more accessible. You can just get hold of it. I mean, I've been going through it on my phone as well sometimes, so it's so easy.
I'll just give you a pointer about that as well. When I send you work back, it will have this in the corner here, yeah?
Yes, I noticed that on the laptop, not the phone, yes.
But you won't have it on your phone. It doesn't go up on the phone. I just thought I'd remind you I'll tell you about that in case you didn't know. I've had people say, I've had no formative feedback. And I said, how are you accessing this? Oh, my phone. That's what you won't have, but you can't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that's out of the way. So we will look at 3 point, get back up there. 3.1, and this is then, every part of this unit now, that's LOs 3, 4 and 5, there are only 2 assessment criteria for each one. Yeah?
That's good, a lot shorter.
And the point is, it's set up exactly the same way. Analyse theories, principles and models of assessment. Analyse theories, models of curriculum development.
Yes.
Analyse theories and models of reflection and evaluation. Yeah. Now, if we go back to the other page, this one, you've read all that, so we don't go through that again. Back to there, and we come up to 3. And then it will give you on here sort of a mind map. You don't have to cover everything that's on here, but these are just some ideas. Yeah.
I decided to look at the initial and diagnostic because I thought that was important.
Yeah.
Because I know that everyone does that to start off.
That's the starting point for just about everybody.
Then I thought I'd look at a theory, so I did Medal and Mission by Petty, which I really like actually. I like that theory of his. And
nearly everybody uses that.
That's why I like it. And then I just looked at the e-assessment and the e-portfolio. Should I look into something else also?
Well, one of the things that just to look at that is a holistic approach. Yeah. Have you met that before?
Yes, I've come across it. It's like an all-rounded learning with play and work type of approach, isn't it?
That's how it works in school, but it's also used in external MBQ type assessment.
Okay.
It's like if you. I'll give you this example because I'm coming from an engineering background. But when I was assessing apprentices out in the workplace, it would be no good me saying, right, I'm going to look at Unit 2, LOs 3 and 4 this time when I come and watch you. Yes. I don't know what his job is doing. It may not cover that particular unit. Yeah. So what I'd do is he'll say to me, I'm going to be taking the complete strip down of this machine, and we're going to be putting the new bearings in, we're going to do this, that and the other. So I'll say, right, okay, I'll come and look. We'll have a look at the job before we start, and we'll see, actually, it may cover 3 or 4 units, but not all of each unit. Yeah? Right. So what we'll do is we'll watch the job, record it, video it, or I can write a report, and we'll see what units fall out of that job.
Right.
So that'll tell him what else is outstanding, what he can look for in next jobs that come up, that we'll be able to cover that other bit. And that's taking a holistic approach. Also, in this, the reason I'm doing Unit 3 first is so that you can cross-refer evidence into other parts of the unit. Yeah. And that is using that holistic approach where evidence that you've produced already can be used in other parts of the qualification. So instead of writing things 3 and 4 times over. And in an academic world, that's what you would probably do.
Exactly.
But this is not a totally academic qualification. It's part, well, it's 80% practical. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about, as we move on into the other units afterwards, then you'll see that it is asking for evidence of what you do and tell me about it. Yeah. Not write about how initial assessment should be done, but show me a couple of copies of risk assessments that's been done. Initial assessments that's been done for a couple of students. Yeah.
Exactly.
And just tell me why you use that documentation and what it's for.
Okay.
Takes an awful lot less writing, and it's solid evidence showing that you're actually putting that into practice. Yeah. So again, theories analyse theories of principles and models of assessment. When you look at assessment, what this unit actually needs to do is look a little bit beyond your own personal situation and look at all the types of assessment, the ones I've just explained to you now, I've just given you an example of, to see how that's done as well, to give you a broader view of the assessment process. And it's like, on that particular one, on the engineering background one, it's not something you can do an exam with, you see. It's something that can only be assessed by somebody qualified to assess that area. Yeah? This is why in academic work you can cover quite a wide area as a tutor and an assessor. Not necessarily as a tutor so much, but certainly as an assessor you can assess beyond the areas that you're fully conversant with because you have a knowledge of the qualification. Yeah.
So it reminds me a bit of when I was doing my teaching assistant coursework, where we have our tutors coming to assessors, and she'd end up cross-referencing what I'd done, one activity over 4 or 5 different units.
Hopefully she explained that all to you.
Not really, no. We never really got into assessment at that time, because then we were just doing basic.
To do it, actually. If you're going to do that, we should do it together, and she should show you how it works, and I'll do that if we go through this. And I'll say, in fact, some of the front sheets that I've put on, it will say possible cross-reference here to unit such and such a thing, learning objective, whatever. Yeah, but check what you've actually written there fulfills these criteria.
Exactly.
So, there's a big difference between what people write. Some people will write in a unit like this 5,000 or 6,000 words. Yeah, others will write 3,000 or 4,000 words. Some will write up to 8,000 words.
Exactly.
They will probably have more chance of cross-referencing stuff as we go along. But they'll have in to fulfil, what they've been talking about, rather than just what's meeting the criteria. And that's
what I found with the previous units was LOs was that when I got into it, there's no easy way to not just use a few words and then get out. You have to keep on explaining on one thing leads to another, and you end up with 6 pages.
I know what you mean there. Again, keep that idea in your head that it's not about the amount you've written; it's the content of what you've written. Just show your understanding. Yeah.
Exactly.
So all these processes are sort of say principles. Initial and diagnostic are the most common. Initial has to be done in a lot of cases with, trying to give you an example there. We get students coming in from other countries whose English is minimal. They want to do a level 3 in health and social care or business and management,
Yes.
If the English language is below level 1, they will not be able to go on to that course.
Yes.
So we run the initial assessment and diagnostic earlier and say to them, look, it's not going to be worth you going on to this program. You're not going to be able to cope with the work or be able to produce the work because you've written and your spoken's okay, but you've written and comprehension is not sufficient. And then we'll put them on to a functional skills course for several months to improve that to get to the point where we can then, if they get to level 1, they will cope with the work at level 3. In English, I should say. That's the whole point of diagnostic. Certainly, initial assessment for a tutor. You've got to know where you're going to start. So students that think they've got some RPLs from another course or something else they've done, by all means bring that forward and let's have a look at it, see where it fits in. And once you've got the specs, you know, for the course like this and see what you've got to produce, if you have other work, say, oh, I've done that before. Let's have a look and see what it says. Sometimes you'll pull it out and have a look and think, well, no, it doesn't actually mean that.
Yeah.
I might as well just get on with it and do it. Other times you'll say, well, this fully covers that. I'll paste that in. But again, there's nothing wrong with that if it meets the criteria. Yeah,
exactly.
That's because there are no. With a lot of courses that you do, there are assignments that have been written by the awarding bodies to cover the assessment criteria. With this sort of course, you can't do that really because it's partially practical and partially academic, and the other bit is the criteria are very specific. So I just work on the criteria, yeah, and provided the criteria is achieved, I don't care how it's achieved, a lot of the comment can be your own view, yeah? There are no wrong answers here. They are your personal views. When we get on to things like you know, political influences and that sort of thing, if you've got an axe to grind there, by all means, grind it, yeah, because there's only me sees it, I'm the IQA.
Perfect, yes.
So that's the way to actually approach that. So those two are the most important. Diagnostic is useful in terms of things like functional skills because it will not only say what level they're at, but it will say whereabouts on the level they're at as well.
Right.
Diagnostic will say, well, yeah, you've got a good E2 reading in English, but you're not making E3. But you're somewhere in between, and it will. And some diagnostic systems are extremely good because they will say put 8 workbooks between E2 and E3, yeah.
To push you up to the E3, yeah.
But the diagnostic will tell you which workbooks.
Oh, right, okay.
So it'll say you workbook 1, 7, and 9, and if you complete those, you'll be up to E3, yeah.
Right.
And that is extremely good for the tutor because, as I've worked before in classes where I've had 8 learners in the class, all doing something slightly different because they're on different workbooks.
Okay.
But as a tutor, I can go around each one to help as we're going through the lesson, yeah, and they can be working on their own on these particular workbooks.
Set to their own task at that time, yes.
It's really well set up sometimes like that.
That's good.
But the other one, learning needs analysis, that can be that's quite broad in some respects. If I've got, say, I'm an IQA, a quality assurer. Now I will have several assessors who present their work to me. What I will do sometimes, if I'm finding issues, I will look at a training needs analysis for that assessor. It may need some further training or some more support or whatever, and that's how that works basically. Yeah. Standardised national assessments, QCA, QCF, measure of skills, aptitude, knowledge, credible and compatible with learning programmes, promoting learning and assessment of learning and for learning, and part of the training cycle. Of learning means I'm going to be assessing this work that you produced and for learning, so that the feedback that you get from there is then promoting forward movement into the unit or into the next unit or whatever. Check and correct basically. That's the other part of that. Medal and mission you read and you like by Petty. Sort of two-way feedback. And again, this is good because what you can do is on the other bit I just showed you before. Come in. If I've put let's say I've put a reference in here that says, doesn't say achieve good, but says, yeah, okay, but you could have mentioned such and such a thing and given a further explanation or put some examples in, yeah? You can then add them there.
And then send them back and then,
No, you can click on review as well.
Okay.
And reply, I have done that now, I've put that in, is that okay, or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, so this works both ways, yeah. It's good.
So I put those little comment boxes in through the review through the review heading.
If I put something for you to do, in there, you can then add it here.
Yes.
What I generally ask you to do, if you don't use you can use the review to tell me what you've done, or you can write it in a different font color.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so that I know that I can see that I can see immediately what you've added. Look up my comment and say I'm having that. That's fine. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. I'll turn it black and then move it on from there.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can do it either way. I don't mind which way you do that. Just so that I can identify what.
Exactly that. It's not just a sea of words. Otherwise, yes.
Yeah. Well, I do it that way for the simple reason that I obviously get lots of work in for assessment, and I can't remember exactly what I've said with each person from the last side. That tells me straight away what's happened, either in your comment or in the different coloured.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm back up to the top again. And the other sheet. Yeah, two-way feedback, and questioning approaches. If you're delivering information, for instance, I used to do this as a way of doing it when I was teaching level 3 in business. We'd have maybe an information giving session in the morning, and they were taking notes and so forth, doing some work, and in the afternoon we'd have a group discussion, and I'd ask questions, see if I got the answers. But it also allowed me to see who was joining in the discussion and asking the questions and who wasn't. Yeah, so that I could pick up if anybody was dropping behind who didn't like to say so in a group situation. So as a tutor or assessor, it's an ideal way of including that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So again, this is just clinical analysis of those processes. Yeah. And then explain ways in which theory, principle, and method of assessment can be applied in assessing learning. Yeah. Again, individual explanations on here, and this is where it comes back to you. Yeah. How you actually do that process. Which of those matches near enough to what you do? Usually you'll find that one does. Yeah. And then you can actually just enlarge on that and say why you think it's a good idea. You may even say sometimes I've never used that before, but I can see that it would be really useful. I'm going to try it in future. Yeah. So those are things that are coming off the programme for some people who've not been in that situation before.
Some of these things are a bit alien to me because when I did do the TA role that I do, besides doing feedback for teachers or filling in sheets that they ask you to for as assessment, you don't really end up marking the students' work yourself. So I know what I would ideally like to do in a scenario. So that's what I'm just sort of basing it off at the moment. Is just those type of things.
Well, I'm actually running. I've got a group on at the moment on Wednesday nights who are doing the assessor course. It's a level 3 qualification, and it's only 2 units. Unit 1 and 3. That's it.
Yes.
And if you're in an assessment situation, it's a fairly quick qualification to achieve.
Right.
Following on from that, there's a level 4 qualification in quality assurance. Again, that is only 2 units. 1 and 2 on that, I think, but they're quite big units and there's quite a lot in them. What I've done is break them down into like a workbook. And work through the workbook, answer provide the information from the practice that they do. Again, it's partially, certainly the second unit is all about the documentation, the evidence that you can produce to show how such and such a thing is done, how an assessment plan is made. So you put a couple of assessment plans in for a couple of students that you've done. An assessment of the work that you've done. So you'll put a copy of the work in and where you've assessed it and why you've achieved or not achieved, as the case may be on that. But those are just practical examples of you putting in the knowledge into practice,
Yes.
So this one, again, is purely how they can be essentially, whichever branch of teaching you're in, there'll be some form of initial assessment goes on. And again, if it's not something that you do, but somebody else does it, but you've got the learners, you have to have that initial assessment to show, because usually a training plan will have been drawn up from that initial assessment, and so you've got to understand what that is. So again, you can show records. You don't necessarily have to produce them, but you can explain what they are and why they're there.
Yeah, okay. No, that's good.
One point I will put in there, I always forget to say this, so I'll just make sure I do this time. If you are using actual documentation, which you need to use, it can't be just blank copies. They need to be actual documentation. Just say the learner's name out. If there are people's names in, like if somebody signed it or something like that, that's fine, doesn't matter. So long as the learner's name's gone, and call them learner A and B or whatever you want, really. But that's how we work through that. So, as you can see, 3.1, straightforward clinical assessment, explain the application. Yes. Straightforward as that. There is nothing.
I like the explains better than the analyze, because you end up learning quite a bit in analysis, and the explain is easy to do after that.
That's why analysis. That's why that command verb is used. To make you look at a bit more. You do some research into it, find out about it. There's nothing wrong with putting your own views in there as well, provided you don't relay them to what you're actually doing. You can put comments in about the theorist and what you think about him and so forth, but not about how you would actually use that, because that is 3.2.
That's the next part,
A lot of people with this unit get that confused, and we end up slicing bits out and copying and pasting them into the other bit. Not that the work's wrong, it's just, some more information regarding 3.2 there. It's on 2 pages, just to let you know that.
When it says things like use the traffic light card system, because that's something I'm used to, the traffic light system for behaviour. Would I mention that also?
The traffic light system is used in a whole range of things, actually.
Okay.
If I do, let's say we're going to apply for something, I need to do a self-assessment for the organisation. It will ask us, have we got this, have we got that, have we got the other? And I'll use a traffic light system for that. Green says we've got it and it's done. Orange says I've got it, but it may need altering. Red says we need to do something about it.
That's something that we've had in schools, 3 different coloured cups.
Exactly.
But now it's just sort of linked now that then the children will put a cup in front of them to show that, yes, green, we've understood,
Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. It's a good way of actually quickly identifying what needs to be done. Or what's been achieved,
True, yes.
So, 4.1, I'll go into, and what we'll do we'll try and do these 2 together and just leave the last one 5, because it is different. And I'll explain why. 4.1 is looking at, again, an analysis of theories and models of curriculum development. How curricula are developed within, a certain area. And again, you've got Broad, Kelly, humanist people, Rogers and Maslow, behaviourist, Skinner and Watson, cognitive, Piaget and Gardner, learner-centred, developmental or progressive, Spiral, creative, Steiner and Waldorf, academic or product-based, Stenhouse and Tyler, and situational model, Skillbeck, curriculum as a process, a pyramid or spiral, on Bloom's mastery of learning. There are a bunch of more models: national policy, economic, ideological, the purpose of education, national curriculum 2000, national curriculum 2000, 14 to 16 and 16 to 19. Different curricula for those, diplomas and apprenticeship, sector skills councils. Are you aware of those?
No, I've not heard of that.
Right, well, actually, again, what I've just said before, there's nothing new under the sun. I remember when all the industries had an industry training board. They have now become sector skills councils. They lay down the standards that need to be achieved within their area. It used to be, for this qualification, it used to be the training and development lead body, which morphs into something I can't remember now. But again, it's literally the same thing. They are specific areas of expertise that will lay down what needs to be done to achieve the standards required in that particular area. Yeah. So again, it gets you to have a look at different curricula, some that you're not involved with at the moment, and apprenticeships, extra skills councils, professional or vocational standards, intellectual processes, inclusive curriculum. That is, you have, there were changes, well, I'm trying to think how many years ago now. I lose track of time sometimes. It's around 10 years ago now. A lot of special needs schools were closed. The learners in there were put into mainstream education. And this is where equality and diversity came in, and how it was to make sure that every child counts and the way it should work. And all those are derived from that. Now, a lot of people, myself included, but I'm open to argument, think that the wholesale way it was done was wrong. Because what's happened is now some special needs schools have reopened because one size doesn't fit all, and there are definite degrees of educational need. Some will flourish in a mainstream, a mainstream situation, and they'll expand and they will learn and get better and better. Others will feel overwhelmed by it, and it will be counterproductive, and they need that special environment for them to be able to progress. And I think that's maybe been recognised, and there is a lot of flexibility on there now.
My nephew attends Northridge High School over here, which is a special needs school, and his class sizes are considerably smaller. There's about 8 maximum students in one class. And they've got so many one-to-one TAs, and it is, I think, the way he's been taught there could never have happened in a mainstream school. It's just a lot more patient, a lot more student-based as well.
Well, it's just that. The teachers are trained in special needs and all the different techniques that you use, using flashing lights and signals and all sorts of symbols and things like that, where the communication is a difficulty. There are real advantages to that.
Because I was, my very first paid role that I did as a TA was as a one-to-one with a child that had excessive behaviour issues, and it was just sort of like go straight from mainstream into that, no training, no nothing, and it was like a fish out of water. It was really big learning curve, but I always believe that you need to be taught these things first and then be able to be hired for that role.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, it's looking at different things. Again, it comes back to holistic curricula, and distance learning or blended learning, which is what we do, and then exploration which source theories of development, or any specialist curricula you've got, applying curriculum theories to program design. Again, this happens particularly in SEN because sometimes curricula have got to be almost individual, because of the different resources that are needed in a particular area. So yeah, that's important. Meeting the requirements, embedded functional skills. Most of the programs will have some form of functional skill embedded into it these days to make it part of the program. One of the ones in that I can just think of an example is music schools, which are using rhythm and time signatures and all that sort of thing for mathematics. Because there's work to be done in there that will match up to various core skill areas. Functional skill areas. They keep changing that name. It used to be key skills, then it was core skills, and now it's functional skills. So where they're suited to context, exactly what I've just said. building knowledge content, opportunities for development of skills, applied learning, flexible to encourage the learner to achievement and linking to achievement, offering the learner choice and reflecting timescales and resources, and promoting equality and diversity, which is what we were mentioning earlier. So, yeah, those are the ways in which those theories and models of curricula can be developed out into practical curricula that you're going to be able to use.
Yes.
We have, on the engineering side, it's pretty strict actually. They can do level 2 and the academic part of it in college. So they will have a planned number of jobs that they do to produce so many skills to match the requirements at level 2. But when they get to level 3, no assimilation can be done. It's got to be all work-based, and all the evidence has to come from work. No simulation, nothing.
My husband did that, not so long ago. He's trained to be a gas engineer now. On his level 2, it was in a couple of written assignments, and then a few was a plumber, a radiator. But the second one, he had to be working with someone, and there was photo evidence and written down what he was doing. And
they've got
to assess.
Yeah. Certainly, gas fitters have got to do an academic qualification alongside of there, for the underpinning knowledge they've got to have as far as safety and so forth is concerned. I know that because that was one of the areas I used to work in. Not as a plumber. I used to work on power station equipment.
Right.
The big boilers in there were absolutely enormous.
Because you've got to get a different qualification for the commercial side, don't you, than the normal side of things? Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. So that's 4. Now I'm not going to go any further with that. I'm just going to brush 5, and that's all.
Okay.
And say why it's different. This is looking at theories and models of reflection, and I'm not going to go into all these. You can have a look at those yourself later when we've got through 3 and 4. Yeah. But it's all about things that you do as a teacher all the time. Something that you do possibly in your head, think, that didn't work well, I'm not going to do that again, or that went absolutely brilliantly, I'll make a note of that. There were issues there which I'm going to change next time. A whole host of things that you do. And this is actually putting that into some sort of context so that you look at the front. There are specific theories and principles around how you actually do that reflection, that internal check on yourself, and how you actually log that down and pick up if there's areas that you need to improve. That will actually form into you. I don't know if they mentioned it on this one. It does on certainly later on. It looks at where you can put that into your CPD, where you've done reflection and you think, well, I could do with further training on that. I need to look at that and put that into my CPD. So you can link things like that into it, So I'm not going to go any further on 5. We'll come to that later. So looking at 3, again, quickly. Theories and principles of assessment. Bunch of information there for you to look at. By all means, some of these guys that you'll see on here, if you're not sure about them, look them up. Put them on the web and have a look at what they do and what they've said. And make some notes and literally just write your stuff up from there. Have you got any questions?
Just on the 4s, it says in your own area of specialism. So, I wanted to do later on.
It's slightly broader than that on 4. It's actually.
I want to make sure that it's not just focused on one thing.
Exactly. It's just about. Well, you can. The first part is you're going to look at theories and principles. Oh, I'm going to 4. Sorry. You're going to look at initial and diagnostic. That's going to be there for a start.
Yes.
Now, one of the other things you can look at is you've already picked that out there. You've spotted that and had a look at it. Go into that a little bit further, and then look at how you use. One of the other things that most tutors use is some form of including questioning. Yes. How you do that within the context of your lesson. So that's looking at this. Like I said, these are clinical analysis of the areas in education, yeah, not specifically in your area. The second bit, you can focus down on that, yeah. Say, well, having looked at all those, this one and this one, or this one only, is the one we probably nearest to what we use, because we do this, 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 and this, and we use that, and we do this, we do the other, yeah. So again, the two quite separate assessment criteria here. It's making sure that you've got a good basis of your research of the people involved that have made remarks on this, and what you think about them. The second part is how applicable some of those or one of those are to actually what you do. Yeah. And again, with fours, exactly the same pattern, but it's all about curriculum development. That's the only difference. Yeah. And you know, a different bunch of people. You will find that some people crop up more than once. Vygotsky is one that comes up quite a lot, and Piaget is another. Maslov obviously comes in just about every time when it looks like anything that looks like humanist, but he covers behaviourist as well. But yeah, there are some people that have been around a long time and have written a lot of stuff. Kolb is another. I don't know where he comes in. He made to be mentioned somewhere. I think he's on 5. He's on 1 and 2 actually. What we've done, but he comes up again. Yeah, Kolb's learning title. Yeah, only a Mumford learning style. Sure. Yeah, those come up again in later on. Okay.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
You set off for that now?
Yes. Get some more headaches over the weekend now.
Like I've said, if you're stuck with anything or not sure about anything, or if there's something you can't find, quite often, if I'll close that down now. Oops. And I'll close that down as well now. Yes, I do. Quite often, if you want to have a look at some of the PowerPoints on here to see if they give you any further, information that you might, if you can't find anything on there and you're still wanting some information, by all means send me a text. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. That's
no
brilliant.
problem.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for attending. And
Thank you.
I'll speak to you next week.
Next week, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.